But let's be clear. This is a stunningly stupid, suicidal strategy, which only weakens the Republican Party, weakens President Trump, makes it harder to fix America. And I don't know what it is. These guys need psychologists. And I think for them to undermine this on the opening day is almost suicidally stupid.
Well, folks, Republicans have managed to accomplish two contradictory things at once today. They elected Mike Johnson as the Speaker of the House again, while simultaneously showing they have absolutely no idea how to govern.
218 to 215, what's done is done, and Speaker Johnson is there. Although I have to say, and I'm sure he's rejoicing, this was a muscle flexing of a minority of the party, of the Republican Party. 9 members demonstrating to Speaker Johnson, we can take you down if we want to, according to the new House rules, and we can make your life very difficult. Please pay attention to us, or not please, pay attention to us.
Right, the MAGA coalition, the unified party, so to speak, showed that it was anything but today. And that had many a Republican, old and new, voicing in no quiet terms their vociferous indignation towards the MAGA members of the GOP. As we'll see coming up, Newt Gingrich went on an absolute tirade, had a total meltdown live on Fox News on his Republican colleagues for not towing the party line and voting for MAGA Mike Johnson. But in addition to that as well, you had Fox News even reporting that GOP rebels switched their vote to Johnson after Donald Trump's 11th hour calls that were the only things that were able to help push Johnson over the finish line.
Well, Republicans did narrowly avert the specter of Speaker Jeffries again, but this is actually a triumph for Mike Johnson. I mean, he had a majority in which he could only lose 1 vote and still win, and that's what he did. So that was pretty impressive. As I was saying before, I think it's a Trump effect, and I think there was more Trump influence being exercised behind the scenes. So I think that was a very big part on this. It's a vindication of the president's wishes in this, and it's also a reminder that Republicans really should have won more seats in the last election.
Right. Agree to disagree on that sentiment. I don't think that this is necessarily Republicans showing they should have won more seats. If anything, they should have less based on how much utter insanity they are dealing with a specter of Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker. And interestingly enough, one person who agrees in that sentiment of Republicans needing to get their stuff together is former Republican House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who had these very harsh words for his colleague.
Full of Republicans who get awake every morning and say, I'm voting no, what's the issue? And they're contrarians. And you can't have a contrarian caucus with a very, very narrow margin. You were kind about my speakership, but I had a much bigger majority. And we had a country which was decisive. Now, the question I'd ask of both Norman and Massey is, so what's part 2? Other than helping Hakeem Jeffries and hurting Donald Trump, what do you think you're accomplishing? Because I don't see what the second act is. And they might feel good and get some media, be able to raise some money, but they're doing it at the cost of the country. The country gave a mandate not to Massey. It didn't give a mandate to anybody else except Donald Trump.
Right. The country gave a mandate to to Donald Trump. And Trump, in turn, then had to give a mandate to his rebellious party, having phone conversations, according to Fox News, with both Representatives Ralph Norman of South Carolina and Keith Self of Texas after they had initially voted for people other than Johnson for Speaker. And the two of them were seen disappearing into a side room with Johnson and others after the roll call vote was complete, but before the vote was formally closed. After getting their tushy spanked verbally via phone call by Trump, they emerged later and announced, guess what? Now they're going to vote for Johnson. Because it seems like Trump has their Johnsons in a vice grip. And I throw shade on Republicans all the time, but Gingy here, good old Newt the Screw, he wasn't done giving his successors a good old what for.
And I think for them to undermine this on the opening day is almost suicidally stupid. And I can't explain it except that over the years, and Carl watched all this and lived with it in the Bush White House, over the years there's been a group in the party who've grown more and more hostile, more and more self-righteous. Dave Winston just wrote a great piece today about the history. I lasted 4 years, and even though we'd balanced the budget, reformed welfare, cut taxes, by the end of it, there was a hardcore group of about 18 that were just tired. John Boehner won a huge majority, bigger than I did, and after a while they got tired. Paul Ryan got so disgusted he left. You know, the guy who actually created the current majority, Kevin McCarthy, was in a constant running war with about 8 or 10 members. Then this small group has congealed into a very hostile, very destructive group. Fine, and if you're the opposition party, but astonishingly stupid if you're the governing party. And somehow Trump and others, J.D. Vance may have a big job cut out from here, they've got to sit these guys down and explain to them. And if that means that Trump goes and holds rallies in every one of their districts and mounts a tremendous effort to replace them, whatever it takes, you cannot have a hostile, contrarian, negative group if you're going to try to govern.
Wow. Obviously, him calling out the entire MAGA coalition there, but it's interesting that his solution to the problem of contrarian Republican, MAGA Republicans being in the party is to have Donald Trump figure out how to put his big boy pants on, tell everyone else how to do that, and then go and run around the country like a MAGA mascot dictator, threatening rallies in the states of representatives who disobey him in order to force them all into the same agenda. Stop me when you feel the ringing sound of fascism.
But let's be clear. This is a stunningly stupid, suicidal strategy which only weakens the Republican Party, weakens President Trump, makes it harder to fix America. And I don't know what it is. These guys they need psychologists. I mean, I don't know what they think they're accomplishing in the real world except to make a spectacle out of this thing. Now, I hope that at least 2 of them will switch. I think Massey's probably utterly, totally hopeless. He's sufficiently certain of his moral rights and his brilliant insights that I don't think he'll move under any circumstance. But I would hope the other 2 would realize that they're going to look like idiots. It's not going to change. I mean, the party's not going to go, oh, gee, you know, 214 of us were right, or 215 of us were right, but you 3, you've convinced us on the second ballot. Let's do something else.
And I hate to say it, folks, but Newt Gingrich is absolutely right there. Not only about the fact that these Republicans need psychologists, and goddamn good ones at that, but also that they're going to look stupid and that none of this egotistical contrarian voting for the sake of contrarianism is going to change anyone's mind. And not like I want the Republicans to succeed at all. In fact, I am more happy now that they have these contrarians because it just shows the level of disconnect and discord and inability to govern that will mar the quote-unquote legacy of their governorship for the next, hopefully only 2 years, maybe 4, we shall see. So that is the story thus far. Newt Gingrich having an absolute meltdown. Speaker Mike Johnson will be the House Speaker yet again for this new Congress. And as always, folks, if you made it this far, consider dropping a like on the video, subscribing to the Really American channel to stay up to date with all of the news you need to know going into 2025, and specifically coverage of MAGA moron Republicans tearing themselves apart while simultaneously tearing the country apart as well. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I'll see you all in the next one.